Tap 3 mana, ice cream with banana. Now our problem solved. Hey guys, welcome to my top 10 video. This week we're doing top 10 Apocalypse cards. Celebration of Apocalypse, going under 15 tickets for the entire set. 143 cards, 44 rares, 44 uncommons, 55 commons, 14.74 ticks. Yeah, that's about 10 cents per card if you want to pick it up on average. And when you look at the cards, here's sorted by price. Most of them are a penny. Some are 2 cents. We have 4 cards that are above $1. One of them, which is a standard bear, which is a popper staple. It's actually in the dollar mark to make it comical. So here's the top 10 Apocalypse cards. Rip in peace Apocalypse. It's the price Apocalypse. Number 10. Last Stand. Gee, I wish I had a magical hack. Target opponent loses 2 life for each swamp you control. Deals damage to target creature equal number of mountains you control. 1/1 sapling token for each forest you control. 2 life for each plains you control. Draw a card for each island you control, and then discard that many cards. So if you paired that with something like Celestial Dawn, Bleach. Why is it called Bleach? Because it bleaches the cards. Lands you control are plains. Non-land cards you own that aren't in play, that means cards in your hand. Spells you control, non-land permanents you control are white. You spend white mana as though it were mana of any color. You can spend other mana only as though it were colorless mana. So basically it changes last stand into 5 white. You could just gain 1,000,000 life. And plus, if you had a magical hack card, you can hack one of these cards into, from say, swamp to plains, and you can make it so it loses 2 life for each plains you control, damage to creature for each plains you control, sapling to creature for each plains you control, draw a card for each plains you control, discard a card for each plains you control. Imagine if all 5 of those cards were plains. What an awesome card. Number 9. Fire Ice. It's a vintage staple. Fire deals 2 damage divided any way you choose among any number of target creatures and or players. Ice taps a permanent, draw a card. Now with the new Apocalypse rule, it's any 2 targets, not just creatures and players. It can do planeswalkers and players. It can split that way, which makes the card a little bit more powerful these days. Ice is basically a Richardson port, where you tap 1 colorless mana and tap Richardson port to tap a land. You could tap a land during your opponent's turn. It's not that useful in Vintage, and Fire isn't that useful either. But if you can fire like 2 Goblin Welders, or if you can ice your opponent turn 2 so he can't mana drain you when you untap, it's actually something. It's so weird. The synergy of being able to pick one allows you to play 2 bad cards in your deck because it only takes up 1 card slot. Number 7. Lightning Angel. 4 mana Jeskai card. 3/4 Flying Vigilance Haste. You can have a 3/3 Flying Vigilance Haste for only red, white, blue. And you can actually play 4 copies of Lightning Angel and 4 copies of that card and have your very own Jeskai aggro deck. This was an Apocalypse. It was reprinted in Time Spiral, but reprinted in Volt Angels, I guess. Don't remember that. But basically the thing with haste is, say if you have like a choice of having a 6/6 haste or a 9/9 without haste to kill your opponent, your 6/6 haste would, the turn it comes into play, attack with it, deal 6, next turn 6, next turn 6. If you played a 9/9 mana creature for the same cost, the first turn you would have Summoning Sickness, the second turn would deal 9, the third turn would deal 9. So they're about equal in speed. The thing is, if your opponent's tapped out, if you had a 6/6 haste, you would deal 6 damage to your opponent. Your opponent would untap and just plow it or something with a Swords of Plowshares. Whereas if you had a 9/9 with Summoning Sickness, your opponent would untap and plow it, and your opponent wouldn't take 6 damage at all. So it kind of makes it like a 6/6 haste better than a 9/9. So that's why that's why this card's so good. I mean, these days like a 3/4 for 4 mana isn't that good. But if you can think of it more as a 4.5/4, it definitely deserves a spot in the top 10 at number 8. Number 7. The Volver Cycle. Volvers were so great because introduced the wedges. The wedges is basically if you took all 5 mana symbols, the whole Wooburg, white, blue, black, red, green, and you took those 5 these circles and you made a circle out of them. It's kind of like the back of the Magic card. You could draw lines between them and make any combinations of colors. Just connect the dot. Just draw a whole star and connect all 5 together. Isn't that cool? They're called the wedges because if you try to connect 3 of the 5 dots together, by say you pick one point and then you pick the 2 points farthest away from that point, you would draw a triangle in the shape of a wedge. Basically, it'd be just an elongated triangle. The wedges, you'll find a few YouTube videos that will still say, Ana aggro, Sita control, Dega aggro, or Necro aggro, Racket aggro, because it was the names of the wedges before Khans of Tarkir came out. Alright, so here's what I'm talking about. So, it says here wedges. So if you drew the mana symbols like this, you could just connect, basically, where does this guy come from? Red, white, and blue. Well, if you took red and just drew a line, like so, here's your wedge shape, here's your triangle. And it works, basically, there's 5 of these. You want Sultai, just pick the 2 colors farthest away from green, here's another wedge. So that's what I mean by wedges. Apocalypse was the set for wedges. So you wouldn't have, you would call it Ana, basically. You wouldn't call it Jeskai, or Sultai, I'm sorry. Excuse me, you wouldn't call it Sultai. They used to say call it blue, red, green Tarmo Twin, because you would just put Tarmograph's green to splash with your blue red. Now they call it Teamer. Well, Teamer would be basically Seta. And then Dega, there wasn't really much white, red, black. I think there was a Brea deck in Return to Ravnica that ended up being pretty popular. But now they call it Mardu. Then Necra, that used to call it Junk back in Return to Ravnica. Once again, this was actually had a name for it. It was Necra back in Apocalypse. They just didn't want to adopt these names of these wedges, and now we have Abzan for Necra, and then Raka's Jeskai. Red, white, and blue. They used to call it American Control for some reason. There's a lot of flags actually that are red, white, and blue. But yeah, now it's Raka. So there we have Abzen's Necra, Jeskai's Raka, Sultai's Ana, Mardu's Dega, Teamer's Seda. They used to call it like a rug and bug. In Magic the Gathering, they use this Wooburg terminology. Wooburg basically means white, blue, black, red, green. So basically, if you use the Wooburg terminology, you wouldn't say, green, white. You would say white, green, because in Wooburg, the W becomes before the G in Wooburg. So anyway, I'm spending too much time on let's move on. Next up we have Mystic Snake. This is still a staple for vintage cubes or 1.5 cubes, legacy cubes. It's basically just a 2/2 creature that counters a spell, and you can play it as an instant. So Ambush Viper mode, it's possible. Basically, it's a judo move against your opponent. Basically, it stops what your opponent's doing and it gives you some momentum in the game. And a lot of players just like these cards. If you just play like Concentration, seems like a better card because it's blue, blue, 2, draw 3 cards. Well, the thing is, if you cast a Concentration, there's a possibility you just draw 3 more Concentrations. So if you fill your deck full of too much card draw, you actually still end up losing the game. So cards like these are just really important. Number 5, Vindicate. Destroy target permanent. Any permanent. Anything at all. Could be enchantment, could be an artifact, could be a land, could be a creature. Could be a planeswalker. Actually, little planeswalkers didn't exist back then. And it's only 3 mana, and there's no downside except that it's a sorcery. So this is the premium removal card. It's actually ended up being about $40 on Magic Online at some point. There was no Vindicates to be had. And then it just gets reprinted Masters 25. Number 4, Doing the Deed with Pernicious Deed. It's basically an engineered explosives times many. For X, you can destroy each artifact, creature, and enchantment with converted mana cost to X or less. You can even make X 0 and just destroy it and destroy all of your opponent's creature tokens in case they're playing Deranged Tournament, which is my favorite card in Magic the Gathering, besides Walloficecream. And then it combos with Spirit Monger. 6/6 for 5 mana. This was incredible back in the day, and it regenerates. And if it deals damage to a creature, put one counter on Spirit Monger. Not just killing it, just any damage at all. So this is regularly like a 7/7 or 8/8 creature, and you just can't get rid of it. Becoming the color of your choice, which is something that, a wild mongrel effect. This was popular back in mechanic, back in the block. I really didn't see that one that much. But 6/6 for 5 mana was so important back then. I can't stress how it was. And then it gets reprinted in Vintage Masters. And Pernicious Deed gets reprinted in Masters 25. So if you're seeing a pattern, you'll see it pretty soon. I'll explain it to you very soon. Phyrexian Arena. At the beginning of your upkeep, you draw a card and you lose a life. This can be... There was a enchant land for black 1 where you could tap a land, pay a life, and draw a card, which is worse most of the time, but it's cheaper. You can have there's a card for Dark Tutelage, black 2. The beginning of upkeep, you just draw a card and lose life equal to its casting cost, which is better than Phyrexian Arena if it's land, but 99% of all decks it's just worse than Phyrexian Arena on average. But look at how it gets reprinted. 8th, 9th. It gets reprinted in Commander. It gets reprinted in Conspiracy Take the Crown. So already, while this gets over reprinted, it's like at 3 tickets at Commander 2015, and then just to take this one of the best cards in Apocalypse down, it gets reprinted in Conspiracy Take the Crown to take it down to 2 ticks, and now it's at 2.03 ticks. Incredible! It's an excellent card at just a low price. Number 1. You can fight me on which one of these are. Shivan Reef. It's the Pain Land. It's the enemy color Pain Lands. It's so important because by this time the allied colors, is basically if you think of the word Wooburg, it basically would be within one letter of the letter you're thinking of. So in Wooburg, an allied color would be blue or green, because green would be one letter before white, and then the U would stand for blue. U is one letter after white. If you see a mana wheel, if you like my paintbrush, allied color would basically just be one move away this way, one move away this way. So these are the allied colors. And the allied colors, it makes a nice, if you think of the combinations of allied colors, it makes a nice pentagon. If you think of the enemy colors, the enemy colors is basically just 2 moves away. So you're moving from a place farther away. And hey, look, guess what? It makes a star. Yeah. So there's 5 ways of having, there's 10 ways of organizing 2 colors if you get 5 different colors. And 5 of them are the allied colors and 5 of them are the enemy colors. The enemy colors just does not have enough printed. There's allied color fetch lands from Onslaught by the time Apocalypse gets printed. There's allied fetch lands that come into play tapped. Goodness God, there's Wizard School. If you want to talk about tri-lands, there's allied tri-lands when Apocalypse was out. Not very good ones. This is probably like one of the worst lands in all of Magic the Gathering. That's saying something. But there's allied tri-lands, and there's just nothing for enemy colors. Just nothing. You'd have to go as far back as Revised and have 4 volcanic islands in your deck to mana fix your blue-red deck. So basically, blue-red ends up being the worst combination of the 10 colors. If you disagree, just write to me in the comments and I'll fight you. The reason is blue and red's best cards are Counterspell and Lightning Bolt. Counterspell is just a 1-for-1. Lightning Bolt's just a 1-for-1. If your opponent plays something like an Octavi or Orangutan, which is a 2/2 creature, comes into play, destroy target artifact, it's basically a 1-for-1 straight off the bat. And then if you Lightning Bolt it, you lose another card. You lose the artifact you have in play, and you lose a card you have in your hand. So you get 2 for 1. Basically, any kind of creature that comes into play does something. So blue and red just have trouble handling with those. And if you use both those colors, blue is the color of the best instants, red's the color of the best sorceries. So if you use a blue and red deck, you typically just don't have that many creatures. You don't have that much repetitive damage in the deck. And basically you just run out of resources too quickly for blue-red in general. But like I said, this is back in those days. Nowadays, Storm is basically the most powerful deck in Modern. There's turn 3 wins, and it's blue-red, and yeah, now I should say blue-red is close to the most powerful combination of the 10 colors, and now there's Return to Ravnica's out, and Izzet's looking pretty good right now. But like I said, this is Apocalypse. It gets shredded. Look at the reprints. The reprints. Oh my gosh. This set gets reprinted to heck. So if you're complaining Magic the Gathering doesn't care about the players, they won't reprint cards, Apocalypse, okay, well, this got reprinted in Pain Chase. Apocalypse has the most reprinted good cards, and it's paid the price for it. So, once again, if you want to relive the old days of Magic Online, buy a complete set of Apocalypse for 14.7 ticks. Thanks for watching. What? Wall of Ice Cream found a way to make money? That's right, you can help your favorite YouTuber, your third favorite YouTuber, by getting a month of Humble Bundle and referencing me with this reference code, or going to Hulu and buying several months of Hulu, or going to G2A and checking out that website. I have a reference link right there on the screen. So just go, and I can get a couple of bucks, and it pays for these cool things I have, like a Yeti microphone that I can't really afford. So go for it. Help your third favorite streamer.